Juan, could you help
There
with
it
the
goes.
mic?
You got it? Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting of the Sonoma Historic Preservation Commission to order, April 14th, 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll?
Yes. We've got Commissioner SOHN
Present.
and Commissioner KUBAL.
Present.
Thank you. I would like to point out that Commissioner Drake, Commissioner HAREN, and Chair AMAR are absent from tonight's meeting. Therefore, we do not have quorum, so any action items for tonight will be moved to the next meeting's agenda. And I will pass it over to Community Development Director Yates.
So with no quorum tonight, we're just going to jump in to the item 4.1 and start a conversation around the work plan. So what was attached to your the staff report that was attached included what is the Preservation Commission, so what makes it up, and then also the 2026 goals that help us decide what we're going to focus on and how that aligns with the council's goals. It doesn't always necessarily align up specifically word for word, but it kind of has those ideas and thoughts. And so some of these ideas I think still apply as far as the council goals go. And some of them are actually already in process. So the first one is on the list is the general plan update. So you participated in our discussion on the historic cultural resources and gave edits, and then those edits have now been provided to the consultant, and they will be working on that next draft, as well as the environmental impact report for the general plan as a whole. And so we will be reviewing that again once it's released. During that public comment period, I will, if we do not have a regular scheduled meeting during that time frame, I will have a special meeting for us to review that. And as soon as it's available to the public, I'll make sure that all the commissions are aware that these are available and make sure we get on everybody's calendars during that period. The update to the general plan is an ongoing process right now. We are looking to, sorry, not early 2026, that needs to say fall, is when we're looking to take the final document to City Council, Planning Commission first and then City Council. And we do have a consultant, it is funded, and so that is a document in progress right now. What I have done with a couple other commissions is to create an ad hoc committee for this item, because sometimes these can be kind of meaty documents that aren't always easy to review as a bigger group. And sometimes it's just a group of two that can give some good edits and then discuss and become the actual recommendation or edits from the group. I'm hoping that since we already reviewed it once, they're really, whatever comes after won't be as substantive. So we'll see where we land. And think about the ad hocs too. It would be teams of two, or one that somebody has an interest. And basically the idea is to help review things and to provide some recommendations. I think there's another item on here that I was going to ask for an ad hoc around, but we'll get to it in a second. So, any questions about the general plan?
Only question I have is that on the 22nd there's a meeting, a special meeting.
That's on the next item.
Okay, we'll wait for that. Thank you.
So we are doing a citywide historic survey in context, and this is something that it's been a long time since we've done a comprehensive survey, and the city has never had a contact statement. Contact statement is a way that us that write history stuff try to compartmentalize key timeframes within history, and it's people, it's construction, how things were constructed during that time frame, and it's based on periods of development or change within a place history. And so we are looking to develop that context statement. So we brushed up on some periods of history when we reviewed the general plan update, but really we're going to do that in that context statement. It's really going to refine that and really clarify what those actually look like. And then who were the main players here in the city during those time frames. So we'll get into more of those details. The big thing from that is what comes out of there is going to also be a historic survey. So the determination of what is historic in the built environment today, and what do we want to list potentially as historic resources in our city. And that list, if it's a district, technically it has to go to city council for their approval, and individual listings I don't think have to, according to our regulations, that the Preservation Commission can make those findings currently. And so we will be worked through what that list update may look like, with proper notification of all the property owners and things like that. So we'll be working on that. It'll probably, I think, based on their timeline, is going to be June-ish of next year that would be ready, the list. Right now, what were referencing a minute ago is we've kicked off the project, they've started it, but they want to hear from the community. So who are the people? What are the themes that people recognize as part of our history? And so we have put out that we're having a community meeting next Wednesday, and that'll be in the Vintage Hall, the Vintage House, but the hall at Vintage House. And it'll be at 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And we're going to have activities to get people's knowledge written down. There'll be a presentation by the consultant on this project about what they've learned so far, and then what the project is. So that's that first meeting on the 22nd. So next week. So again, this one's in process. This one's going to take, still over a year. So at this point, I don't think we need any ad hocs around it. It's really, they're just really doing research and looking at properties and things around town. Probably we'll have more conversation once we have more of that list.
So then they're going to make the recommendations for whatever buildings should be on the register. And then in the future, if we wanted to add a building, would they have the requirements that needs to be this, that, or the other? You'd have to fulfill certain requirements to get a building listed?
So what they'll do is, so my goal is that we would just do a survey every 5 years. But if that's not the case, then our historic context will provide us enough information that then when a historic resource evaluation is done, let's say it's past the 5 years, because we're going to do every building that's 45 years old or older. So we've got that 5-year cushion. And so anything, let's say there is something between that 45 and the 50-year mark that's not eligible yet, because we do have that 50-year mark. It could be potentially listed in the future. Then we could kind of mark that and maybe that. So they've already done the research, right, on potential eligibility. But if later on down the mark, down 20 years from now, we could use that context to kind of help us tell that story from whatever that would be, so the 80s. So if there's whatever that story looks like. So.
Is this only the historic overlay district, or is it citywide?
Whole city.
Wow, that's great. Okay.
So the goal is to look at the whole city, see what's historic throughout the whole city, and then look at potential historic districts. So we've done commercial districts, but we've never done we've only done one residential, and that was the Sebastiani. But otherwise they're commercial. And so our historic overlay is over both. And so we're looking at getting rid of the overlay and really just focusing on historic districts.
Good.
And so if there is that district capability on some of the areas that we have the overlay, that's what we're looking to understand.
Could that include some of Sonoma Valley, El Verano, Boys Hot Springs? No,
No, city only.
only city.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the county is in charge of everything outside
Okay.
of our city limits.
Sure.
And actually the Sonoma Valley Historical Society, I think, did do an update to their valley survey.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that did our initial survey that we did as well.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions on this one? Okay. The landscape survey is being done right now. It actually should be done in May. So depending on when it's done, I may call a special meeting for that. And then make a recommendation for adoption to City Council. So, as you know, the plaza is this great landscape. And so we really wanted to understand what's those historic components of the plaza landscape itself, the park. Because there's really not a lot. We know, obviously, Carnegie and City Hall. And in the original National Historic Landmark District nomination, the rock that had, in regards to the bear flag raising, there's a rock, not the monument, but
Right.
the rock, that was identified as a monument that's contributing to the district. There's been a lot of time since that original one was done, and so what today we look at is a little bit more than that, and sometimes that the landscape itself and the history of that is also potentially contributing. And so that's what we're wanting to look at. And so that's what that report is going to tell us, is more about the history of how things were laid out and, the plantings and things like that. So as we replace things or update things, like what are those historic components that we need to be mindful of as we maintain them, or if we need to replace. So that's the goal of that.
Great.
So that will be coming shortly. What I need help on, if there's interest, is our web pages. There are none. So our PIO and I literally created 2 last week. Just one for this project, the study, the project on the survey, and then a year ago I had worked with a consultant to get our historic districts and our list up on GIS. And so I just got that up because there's an article coming out in GIS magazine about it, and I was like, we should probably put that up. And so I got that up, and so that should be up now, and we're going to do a little release through our city's newsletter about it being available to the community. But other than that, there's nothing. And so really need some help to create content, but also kind of like, hey, you know what? This city has a really great way of presenting the information that's simple, easy to understand, or, the way that they have it set up to go from here to here is useful, versus, some of our pages now are just really text heavy, and nobody reads anything anymore today. Everybody's about the image and some lines and really short.
Is this an opportunity for us, beyond the commission? I see you want commission members to assist staff, but would this be an opportunity for us to maybe involve community members who might have an interest in contributing, like Jim, his name is Silverman. He was the Sonoma Plaza History Hunt,
So,
which is a lot of content, is why I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, different kinds of content. So, content that I'm looking for is more like government content versus here's the history.
Okay.
Like, here's where you're going to go for history. Because that's not the city's function. That's more of like the Historical Society will give more of that. We have a
Okay.
little bit on our webpage, and that's just in the sense of this is the history of Sonoma in a little snippet on a one-pager.
Got it.
Not an elaborate thing. I'm thinking more of like in other cities you're gonna find information on like this is the permitting process. This is how I designate a historic property.
I see.
So what is the government's role in historic preservation? And those are the types of pages
Understood.
and content that we're looking to create.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
No problem. Because some of the things that we talked about of really wanting to push, that's just one mechanism. And so I don't have it all written out or anything. That's part of the conversation that we can talk about based on interest is we talked about education and outreach and a web page obviously is one means to get that out.
Mm-hmm.
But, talking with what you were saying, like Silverman and things like that, we could partner with the League and the Historical Society to do a speaker series.
Correct.
Those types of things, those are the things where we're like, okay, let's tap Silverman to present on XYZ.
Right.
Let's do, like, one town I worked at, I did there was a gentleman in town that was basically the patriarch of the city. His family had been there the longest, and so he wasn't called the patriarch, but for everybody's intents and purposes, he was the patriarch. And so he remembered growing up in the town. And
Sure.
so he just talked for like 20 minutes about life and growing up. And we showed pictures of things. I mean, it was just a great little feel-good thing. And we put it on as the city in partnership with the Historical Society to do that.
Something definitely I think we have all expressed interest in.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
so that's what I'm
yeah.
looking for is those
Okay.
ideas, and that's where the ad
Yep.
hocs come in.
Sure.
So we have an education and outreach and marketing for Climate Action Commission, and that's really their focus is, okay, what can we do for the webpage? What are partnerships that we can do? So they got really involved this year with our new staff person and are working on the trash and fashion
Exciting.
and doing a
Sold out.
component of that with
Sure.
climate
Good.
and sustainability,
Right.
and they're doing their own little speaker
Yeah.
roundtable
That's
discussion
great.
there. and stuff like
California
that.
Preservation Foundation has an art opportunity, an art program where we can get school districts to participate, and I think that was one of our goals is with our youth commissioner to see how we can. So certainly want to add that to the list.
Oh, where did my thing go? Yeah, right. Okay. So I am going to put in here HP education. I'm just doing education.
Yeah. The speaker series, I think,
So
as well.
commission ad hoc to develop. So around the webpage and the education, some of the aspects of the city council goals is around transparency and things like that. And so I feel like that helps with that aspect. Other thoughts around education, engagement, can't spell.
How do you pronounce your last name?
KUBAL.
Commissioner Kubal, you have any?
I do not.
What do you call it? Art?
There's an art competition at the California Preservation Foundation where students will submit their pieces, and I think it's like one from every city council district kind of a thing.
Okay.
And then the one that's selected by that council member and or the Preservation Commission gets put up somewhere within the city.
Can you send me the link?
Of course I can, sure.
Thank you. Did you send? Speaker series, art competition. What was the other one I was thinking?
So I think maybe creation of our own version of that in partnership with. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's great models out there from state organizations, so.
Okay. And so if nothing more in those areas, then the last thing I had on the list was a comprehensive update to historic preservation ordinance. This will come after the general plan. So based on the general plan, we talk about some streamlining and some other clarifications. It's gonna help once we have kind of that eligibility list as well and kind of go through one process that we can kind of figure out maybe some edits that need to be made. The other thing that I feel like our ordinance is missing is the incentive. In historic preservation, incentives are just as important as the regulation side of things. And so I just wanted to make note that that would be part of that conversation as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So with that, are there any other ideas? I mean, I know it's a lot on our list, but if there's something that was burning in your mind.
No, the sensitivity mapping is going to be part of this historic preservation ordinance.
So the sensitivity mapping is part of the general plan,
Okay.
especially around the archaeology.
Okay.
What will happen is the ordinance will need to be updated to reflect a process to be put into place for requiring.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I had mentioned in one of our previous meetings was building a pipeline for vacancies that come to all city commissions and boards. And I think that if there's a way that, while this isn't exactly the ordinance or the general plan, I think if there's a way that the commission could somehow, and maybe the avenue is these programs, right? Is that we're talking about the speakers series, the art competition. Maybe these are the avenue to fill vacancies. You know, people come, they show up, they say, "Oh, I'd like to serve. You know, I'd like to be a part of that in a different way." But I think that would be. I think it's a responsibility of us, but also it would allow us to move the process further for staff. I think if we were actually to have a quorum present, so we could do things. But again, there's just something that I want to keep putting at the forefront. Is that we do have vacancies, and I think we could be better at promoting engagement.
And you're talking about vacant
Seats on-
commercial, or are you talking about vacant here?
Well, I'm talking about vacant on this commission. Sit the seats on this board. But if you're going to go in that direction, I think there are a number of changes with commercial front-facing on the plaza, with significant changes that we've seen in the news. Different businesses that are now under new management, new ownership. I think that's a discussion that maybe we can have. But maybe that's a planning and zoning. We join in, have an ad hoc between to discuss what we're looking for within the historical overlay district to fill some locations. Just a thought.
So, yeah, so planning commission's gonna be more, like, now their purview is design review, and use, and how those go together. What I'm going to be looking for is around the historic preservation side of thing and update the ordinance, re-looking at our design guidelines. So we have design guidelines that were adopted for the city. Those probably need a little dust off. So those are the types of things that then provide planning commission the guidance that they need. And so that's kind of where I'm thinking that this role is that we help write and craft the base. That does have to go to planning commission for their approval / recommendation, because that's planning commission's role in policy making, is they make recommendations and city council does the adoption.
Correct.
As it goes around land development.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Does the plaza landscape study include the storefronts, or does it stop like at the?
It's literally the park.
Okay.
Question: it's now they moved, but the Visitors Bureau.
Mhm.
What is happening with that building that we know of?
You're talking about where they went in?
Where
Toscano
they
Plateau?
left? Where they?
Oh, that's Carnegie. That's
Carnegie,
the
right.
city's. That's the
The city.
city's building. So our Parks and Rec just moved in there.
That's
so
fantastic.
It's finance and
Oh,
Parks.
good. I'm happy to hear that.
So it's
Good.
now open to the public.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else on the list that you want to add for anything?
Commissioner?
Nothing from me.
Okay. So my plan is to send this out to all the commissioners and just have each one individually report to me of their interest. And if we have multiple in the interest, then we'll kind of weigh that and I'll work with that. And I'll work with Kelly actually, because Kelly as the chair has the ability to appoint to an ad hoc. So we'll work with her on that. And so look for that email.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I guess does that conclude your presentation?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Directors, commission reports, anything you'd like to share for the good of the commission, the city?
No, nothing from me today.
Fantastic. It's an early end for our meeting.
Yeah.
So,
I'll just note that there was no public, so
no
no public
public
comment.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. And do I have to do a motion to adjourn, or it's only two of us, or just adjourn the meeting? Okay. We are concluding and adjourning the meeting at 6:30. Thank you.